All right, YouTube, it's going to take a lot of nails to slam the lid down on the drug war and lock it away in a deep, dark coffin and throw away the key when it's locked in a vault somewhere. But here's another nail that we can put in that coffin, which is yes, indeed, preliminary testing shows psilocybin can treat depression. It appears, in fact, if you read the study here, link in the description, it looks more like it at least fairly long-term cures it, including chronic depression that's lasted for some time, whether moderate or severe. Brings a alleviation of symptoms. Now, I tried psilocybin exactly once. I didn't really seek it out after one use. I got a particularly powerful strain of azaresins. And so I actually was getting 3 or 4 times what I expected to get out of the trip. And it was a little bit intense for me, honestly. I liked the more meditative, euphoric side of psychedelics as opposed to simply mind-blowing visuals everywhere. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it was interesting at the time, but I wanted something a little more low-key than that. Sort of went back to the morning glory and, salvia at lower doses. Higher doses, you think you're fighting dragons or something, but on lower doses, maybe not so much. But yes, indeed, psilocybin, when administered, helps with depression. This was known to those of us who have actually used psychedelics recreationally. I did in the past, not in many years. That's been known for a long fucking time. The fact is that modern medical science, its sort of hesitance towards drugs as far as drugs as classified by Uncle Sam, has to do with the drug war, the fact that they're prohibited often from testing and they're sort of indoctrinated into thinking, yeah, they're all highly addictive. Just listen to the drug schedulers. They know what they're talking about. The thing is, a lot of these high schedule substances, by which they mean they are significantly dangerous, significantly addictive, and have no medical potential, most of them are anything but. Psilocybin is not particularly dangerous in easily acquired doses. It is certainly not addictive. In fact, it shows reverse addiction potential, which means that a person who has consumed it 1 or 2 times, there's a cool down period in which they don't psychologically, mentally, they don't even want to use it again. Like, it sounds atrocious to them, at least temporarily, and it actually is sort of a self-regulating style of usage. It would be very difficult to get addicted to it beyond maybe you think it's a spiritual thing and so you sort of go loopy, and there's really not enough literature to suggest that really happens on a regular basis. As far as habituation, I think it'd be difficult to enjoy a bag of mushrooms every single day, like sort of after dinner, like becoming a habit. I don't think it would happen. And for medical potential, this sort of blows the lid off of that. Now they're saying, oh, well, we're hopeful about this, but it's too early to say. It's not too early to say for those who have used such things, like LSD also has psychological benefits. It does not blow holes in your brain. It does not cause you to stare at the sun until your eyes melt. All of this stuff is hoodoo nonsense from a past era half a century ago, made by people who didn't know what they were talking about. In many cases, had never even tried such substances. It's like the idea of cannabis as being particularly addictive. It's not. Now, does it cure cancer and AIDS and everything else under the sun? No, of course not. That's just as fucking witch doctor-esque as people saying that it causes you to crash your car and kill your date. But it's not an addictive substance per se. Chemically speaking, no, not really. Habituation, yes. Actual chemical addiction, no. Is it dangerous? Yeah, if you smoke 50 pounds of it in a sitting, I suppose it would be. It'd be kind of difficult for you to obtain that. Does it have medical benefits? Yeah, it treats glaucoma. It sure as hell treats pain and depression. There are millions of people who do that on a daily basis. I'd say it has some medical applications there and is probably better than opium. Psilocybin is just a routine psychedelic, one that should be explored for medical applications and psychological applications, as well as should be decriminalized. There's no reason why a person who picks a couple fucking mushrooms because they happen to be growing in a cow shit field somewhere near their home should suddenly go to federal prison for 10 years for having those mushrooms in their pocket on the way home when they get stopped for, a traffic ticket or something. There's just no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense to bother wasting people's time by throwing them in prison for such a thing. It just doesn't make sense. These people are no more a danger to society than any other randomly selected individual. It's only a handful of substances that really cause the kind of problems you really need to focus on to a greater degree. And with that, I would say addiction treatment's a hell of a lot more effective than jail time. It's like I used salvia, I used LSD, I used psilocybin, I used mescaline, I used amanita mushrooms, I smoked pot, I vaped pot, I did all sorts of things, and yet I never became a violent individual and started assaulting people. I knew enough not to fucking drive under the influence of such things. Hell, I wouldn't even generally go out around other people when I was on them. Even weed, even something as innocuous as weed. I didn't fucking toke up and then go to class or anything like that. I waited until I had time to enjoy the experience because I don't want to be around other people when I'm stoned, generally speaking. But even back then, I had enough self-awareness to know how to use it properly, not to just completely shoot my mind full of every substance under the sun until I was just a grinning vegetable. And the one substance that finally got me, that actually screwed me up temporarily, albeit, was a totally legal research chemical in spice. So there you have it. That substance made me feel depressed for a couple of years and really knocked my life off track. I've gotten it back now and I'm feeling fine. I feel normal like I did before my overdose. But for a couple years there, it was pretty touch and go for a long time. You look back at my videos from like the 2012 period, you can tell even listening to me, I'm not as enthusiastic. Or I wasn't then. I am now. But I wasn't as enthusiastic. I wasn't as energetic. I didn't seem quite as alive. Even like when I look back on my old videos and I sort of look at my delivery, I look like I'm just not quite all there. And that was because of a legal substance. But when I look back at videos that are older than that predate that period, the really old ones, back when I was smoking pot and stuff, I'm sitting there with this like chill, like slight grin on my face, and I'm like, who cares, whatever, everything's all good. I was happy, and I'm happy now, but for a while there I wasn't. That was a legal research chemical I was using. Now, the specific chemical I OD'd on is now outlawed. Good, it should be, because there's no reason for people to use it, but you should be legalizing weed because people just make more of these retarded research chemicals. Most of these substances, psilocybin, marijuana, everything under the sun, they all have medical possibility. They've been used in medicine in man's past. They're still useful, even if only for pain relief and treating certain psychological conditions, insomnia or pain or whatever, chronic pain. They still have a medical benefit, so they should not be where they are on drug scheduling. By those same bureaus, the same government passing these strictures to create the drug scheduling that it uses is defying its own criteria when it places most of these substances in the categories where it places them. As opposed to something like cigarettes that are like, they're just a little bit of regulation, that would be a high scheduled drug. It's certainly potentially toxic in easily obtained amounts. You put fucking 10 cigarettes in your mouth instead of one, it can be done, and you're going to be fucking hyperventilating and sweating and shaking and going crazy. It certainly doesn't have much in the way of medical benefits unless you count the creation of a half-assed serum for Ebola using the tobacco plants. Okay, I'll give you that one. And hell, it's addictive. Everybody knows that. Since 20% of the world is addicted to smoking tobacco on a regular basis. The same with perfectly legal morphine or something like that, and it's on a lower schedule than pot or psilocybin or mescaline. I'm sorry, but mescaline and psilocybin and stuff like that, they're not addictive. They're not. They simply aren't. They don't have an addiction potential in the same way that many substances do. They're considered scary because they make the colors go, man, and so people think it drives you crazy, and it just doesn't. It's just not in the realm of reality. Psychology and biology and all these other fields, they need to catch up to reality, and they really need to put more pressure on governments as well to stop fucking throwing people in jail for using substances that people were using 1,000 years ago anyway. Sort of ingrained into man to ingest some of these things because it's fun. If for no other purpose, it's fun. Well, there are plenty of things that, sugar it's fun to eat a piece of cake too. That sugar is more addictive than some of these substances also. You don't need to be consistently stoned to understand this. I haven't touched any of these substances literally in years, and I don't want to go back to using them. But do I think people should be locked up for them? No. They have health benefits. We're seeing it here with this study. Psilocybin helps treat depression. It's basically inarguable at this point. It does treat that. MDMA. has applications as well. Mescaline, certainly marijuana is the big cheese of them all. They all do. So they should all be legal. Why does the government have anything to do with it? We're all consenting adults. We can use our mind medicine if we really want to. Get naked in a circle and sing hippie chants if you want to. Who the hell is to say you as an adult, a sovereign, sentient human being, can't do that? If you're not fucking hurting anybody else, who gives a fuck? That's about all. Peace out.